Let's see how to upset super agile volley players in the Tour 7 of Tennis Clash, a sports game published by Wi-Fi Studios. So there are several things you can do to counter the super agile volley players, such as this top 50 player, Vida. First thing that I would recommend is to hit big forehands or backhands if it's your main weapon, as powerfully as possible towards the two corners of the baseline. So just choose the corner that you prefer and you hit your best stroke possible towards this area. Don't mind much about the side where your opponent is weak, because most of the time all those super agile volley players have very weak forehand and backhand, so they will have a very hard time countering your big forehand and backhand. So obviously sometimes you don't need to hit very big forehand and backhand. You can just hit that kind of fast drop shots towards the corners. But most of the time, the oldie but goodie big forehand will work. So those volley players will try to counter your big stroke by making a drop shot on the return when they can catch your big forehand. And most of the time, they will try to make a drop shot on the return. So get prepared for that and move quickly your character to the net to hit another big forehand or backhand, like this one, towards the corner of the baseline. Of course, you have to practice the short but fast swipe move. Otherwise, you will put the ball out, because it's easier to put that out when you are near the net than when you are hitting a strong forehand being near the baseline. So most of the time, your opponent can't volley this follow-up forehand, as he is too close to the net and can't have enough time to react. Or well, sometimes he can react with the Maestro Monti, which gives him the quick catch. So that means a catch when the ball is hit almost in his face, actually, at the point blank range. So even if your opponent succeeds in volleying the ball back, just follow up again with another big forehand if possible, if you are ready to hit, and keep hitting that again and again until your opponent is KO. So you gotta be careful, because some of those volley players, we haven't seen a lot of them do that. But some of them will rather try and return, instead of making the drop shot, return the longer ball that flies towards the baseline, so as to surprise you, because you expect them to play a drop shot instead. So you rush to the net, and well, you will be surprised to see a ball fly back to the court, to baseline. So in that case, that will be lethal, because as you know, when you are rushing to the net and that you receive a high ball flying by the level of your head towards the baseline, most of the time you will be forced to play a kind of lob volley that will be very easy for your opponent to smash. So if you see that pattern in the play, you just adjust your position accordingly so that you can hit a big stroke from the baseline. Okay, just move a bit backward. So on the serve of your opponent, so here I just apply this. Obviously, sometimes it won't work. Okay, hitting very hard the corners, it won't work. So don't worry, just keep doing what you should do. So on the serve of your opponent, try and return the cross court, forehand and backhand, depending here again on your best hand, to surprise him. Or of course you can still hit the one of the corners for a change. Generally, your opponent will expect you to hit the forehand down the line. So on your opponent's serve, try to hit a cross-court forehand. Clearly, as you can see, my opponent was expecting me to hit down the line forehand. Yep, there's nothing to do here. So that kind of cross-court should be a winner most of the time, until your opponent figures out your pattern and starts to adjust his trajectory so as to counter that cross-court stroke on his serve. So if he does so, simply change the time after to hit the big forehand down the line. You gotta alternate actually. Don't give your opponent time to read your pattern. So the problem is that you may know that, but seeing where your opponent is moving to after his serve, so that you can hit a good return towards a good zone is another thing. You need to think fast to do that, and that thinking will come with experience. So just keep practicing. Of course, sometimes this will not work as you wish. Just don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. Just keep playing the way you should play against volley players. You know that you should play like that. It will come. Reasons will come. So you can hit the ball as well. Try to hit the ball to make it land as close to the sidelines as possible. When you're going to the for the cross court or for the corners. Whether you choose to hit the cross-court winner or powerful forehand down the sideline, just try to make this straight and fast swipe that will make the ball land very close to the sideline, either side. The reason is simple, because your opponent has to choose one side to counter your strokes. He can't just stay at the middle of the court all the time, okay? Or your opponent will place himself at the center of the court, close to the net. But he will have to guess where you are going to hit anyway at the moment. So if you can succeed in hitting the ball towards the two corners of the baseline and one of the two corners, and as close as possible to the sideline, then the ball will have a very high chance to be out of reach for your opponent. Unless if this opponent has a very too high agility and an extremely high volley attribute. But when you are close to the net and that you need to make this short and quick swipe towards one of the corners, don't bother to try and hit as close to the sideline as possible. In that case, just hit it hard towards the corners, one of the corners, and that should be fine. So this one is trying out volleying with Kaito. It's a surprising choice, and I can understand why he's doing that. Is to have a higher agility, but the problem is that Kaito is clearly not built to play with a volley style, and having a very high agility doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless if you have absolutely no volley attribute or very low. Well, very low. No, not really very low, but it's low compared to what a volley player should have. Boom. Yeah, well, it was well done from his part here, but okay, follow up. The thing is to follow up. Cross court was well. Oh my. Just follow up. Yep, at the end, it will be technical KO for your opponent. So it's preferable to have a decent serve to win 3 points on your service. If you play with the power serve plus big forehand build, or if you play with the all-rounder style, you should have a better chance beating the volley player. Especially with the power serve plus big forehand build, because your low agility with that build is not really disturbed by the very weak return. Well, if your opponent can return correctly of the volley player. a lot of circumstances, the volley player will even return a ball that will go out of the court on a very big serve. I mean, okay. So generally, the volley player has a very weak forehand and backhand. So just keep that in mind. If you place a very big, difficult to return serve, which should be easy with the power serve plus big forehand build, and that you try and run to the net. I know that you will be slow to get there, but try to be there as fast as possible. And then place a big forehand follow up. Then that should be fine. Should be just fine. Of course, you can still beat those super agile volley players with a very low serve, provided you read your opponent's position method and anticipation tactic well enough to hit the ball where it should land on your opponent's side. But it's a bit easier actually with when you have a decent serve. As for the string, well, if your opponent chooses the basic nylon string and if you choose a better string, let's say this Agile Volley like here, things will be a little bit easier to win the match, of course. But if your opponent chooses a better string and you play with a nylon string, that will be very hard. So don't be too confident then. If you even if you have a monster forehand, if you see a volley player having very high agility, I think you should take at least a solo volley. That will give you more critical chance and a long catch tier one. So. If you want to extend your catch range, well, you can take the choker chord, but keep in mind that the choker chord doesn't offer the critical tier 1 like the swallow poly does. Okay, so this one has a much higher number of trophies right now. This was a match I was playing well, like 10 days ago. So of course everything I say as recommendation is useless if your attributes are too low anyway compared to your opponents. So if you're unlucky to be matched in lower tours with an overpowered opponent who wants to practice his super agility and super strong volley skill, the only thing you can do is almost to pray for your opponents to commit a lot of unforced errors. But well, if this opponent knows how to play with the volley build, that should not happen a lot of times. If you don't have really big forehand or backhand as a main weapon. Okay. Yep. Just keep hitting. Keep hitting one of the corners. You can choose the corner that you like the most hitting, but it's not necessary because your opponent can start anticipating if you always hit that corner, you know. Just be careful. Well, let's discover the lineup, almost looking like the one that I use. Well, I hope you enjoy watching me have some practice matches, upsetting Super Agile Volley players in the 2-7 of Tennis Clash, a sports game published by Wi-Fi Studios. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Gameplay 365 to stay tuned for new videos of Tennis Clash. Thank you a lot for your support, and see you soon on Gameplay 365. Bye bye.